Hey everyone, today we're going to be ranking all of the Dead by Daylight killer chase themes. I'm only going to be playing a brief segment for each of the different chase music tracks, otherwise this video is going to be like an hour long, as most of the tracks are multiple minutes in themselves. I'll leave a link to a playlist in the description though if you do want the full experience of these tracks. For this list we have 4 tiers: basic default music, good unique music, great unique music, and finally, amazing unique music. As always, these are just my thoughts, and for something like this there's always going to be a lot of variation of what is good and what isn't. So please do drop your own favourite chase themes, or thoughts on the themes, down below. Let's get into it. Let's begin with the basic default music tier. So this is basically all the killers that just have the base theme for chase music, and they don't have their own unique one just yet. This includes the Trapper, the Nurse, the Huntress, the Cannibal, the Nightmare, the Legion, and the Ghostface for the track named Entity Brain, which sounds a bit like this. It's like this heavy, quite aggressive sound. Then there's the alternate fast-paced track for the Wraith, the Hag, the Pig, and the Plague named Kill Hunt, which sounds a bit like this. Now, these were the tracks I got whilst in custom games, but I don't believe these tracks are specific to the characters I mentioned. I think these 2 tracks alternate potentially on all these characters without a unique soundtrack. They either get Entity Brain or Kill Hunt at random, it seems. Or maybe it depends on the situation or something. I'm not entirely sure. I have some clips where Hag, for example, has Entity Brain, and others where she has Kill Hunt, so I believe it's just one of the 2 that each of the characters get. My personal preference is to the Entity Brain track, which is a lot harder and harsher and feels more like a brutal chase theme. Kill Hunt is quite fast paced and I feel doesn't have as much depth to it. It's made up of fewer sounds or components, I guess. Yeah, I think I prefer the Entity Brain track out of the 2. So in terms of ranking, I'm just going to put all these characters on the same level, as I believe they share the same 2 default tracks. Please correct me if I'm wrong there. With this said, the original or the base chase theme isn't even bad at all. One of the best parts about Dead by Daylight in general is its design, and the sound design holds up completely in quality against the rest. Moving on to the good unique music tier. So now we're going on to the characters who do have themes specific to them. The Twins is going to start us off. Let's take a listen. So this track to me feels a bit too calm and not chasey enough. It feels more like a general ambient theme rather than a chase theme. I do think it fits the Twins fairly well, giving them a less aggressive and pumping theme for the killers who are the least like your typical slasher killer. I don't know, I just feel this one sounds way too distant, if that makes sense. I find the chase music is best when it makes you feel like the killer is really up in your face and chasing you down. Again, I don't dislike this track at all, but I just don't feel it's chasey enough. Again, for lack of a better term. Next up, we're going to go with the Oni, I think. For the Oni, I find his track is very tame almost to what you'd expect. Let's take a listen. It's quite cool and definitely a bit different from the default tracks, although it keeps along the same lines to them. There's a small kind of echo going through this track, which is quite cool, but it honestly feels more fitting for a less, well, brutal and big character. There's a certain drive to this track which fits Oni, but I feel it misses a lot of the aggression or percussion-y elements of some of the other tracks that would be perfect for Oni. To follow up Oni, we have his great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter, the Spirit. This one to me sounds a lot like Oni's, just with a bit extra on top. It's a lot more chaotic and confusing almost, which I do think is a better fit for the Spirit, who has a certain chaotic nature with her jolting and phasing elements. It feels much more rage-fueled. as the music does this repeated fade in and out, which again is good for Spirit. With that said, I think it would have been cool to have more of a clash of the aggressive elements whilst also having some more solemn or calmer moments in there, just to make the two sides of Spirit really clear. That's just me being very nitpicky though. The Doctors is up next, and a fairly simple but very fitting track. It has this spiky quality to it that's really disturbing and irritable almost, which is pretty much spot on for Doctor, and his power that focuses on shocks and these sudden jolts. Doctor's power largely centers around not being able to hide, and I feel this track pairs so well with that and does a great job at making you feel really on edge and under pressure as you're being chased down by him. I guess this is largely due to its shorter and sharper notes that are continually poking at you. I only think this track is a little lower than some others, as it just feels a bit too simplistic. As much as I like it, it's definitely on the more basic side I find, and definitely far more similar to the default tracks. The Death Singers is quite a cool one, and I think very fitting for a chase. As a bounty hunter character, it feels very tonally fitting, and has these wild westy vibes. This one feels like it fits in really well with the different sounds that Slinger makes too, like when he aims down sights and such. My issue with this one is weirdly that it feels a little too fast. I almost feel like it needs to be more in pace with Slinger, who's generally slower and will chase you from a longer range due to having a ranged ability. Again, that's really a nitpick though. Broadly, I think this chase theme is very fitting and very cool. The Hillbillies seems to be far more similar to the original themes, but I do think it pretty much nails the Hillbillies character and vibe. For the reason that I feel it's basically spot on for Hillbilly, I'm ranking it a bit higher than Twin, Spirit and Oni. It feels perfect in combination with the sound of his chainsaw revving mid-chase, which is great. With that said, I do think it's also quite simplistic and does definitely sound far more similar to the default themes. Then again, he is from the base game, so it kinda makes sense to use similar elements from the base theme. Also, it fits in really well, so no complaints really. The Executioner's theme is the kind of thing I wanted for Oni's. It's much harsher and generally feels more threatening. It's honestly perfect for Executioner and feels quite fitting for a slow approaching deadly threat. It has these kind of growly undertones that sound a lot like Pyramid Head sounds too, where he kind of groans under the metal. Overall, pretty good and adds a bit more drama I feel to a chase, which I think is great. Okay, let's move on to the great unique music tier. The Trickster is going to start this tier off. Trickster is another character who you'd think would have a really amazing chase theme. I mean, the guy's literally a musician, and his trailer's all focused on songs and the performance element of his character. Let's take a listen. So, this chase theme has these long extended notes which kind of sound almost like violins or something. They're eerie and screechy, and quite effective for relaying the distorted and twisted music of the Trickster. He's a character who through his lore himself made uncomfortable sounding music, and in the case of his chase theme, it works very well I think. I do think however that something a little more would have been nice, a few more layers or something, as again, this is our musical character. The Nemesis kind of follows on with a similar theme to Pyramid Head, having quite an epic and, in this case, a more operatic chase theme. This one feels very fitting for Nemesis and his size. I'm not sure if there's any ties in this theme to Resident Evil, but there's something about this track that really reminds me of it, which I really like. This track paired with his pounding footsteps as he careers towards you works so well in my opinion. There's also something about how the music continues to rise that gives it this strange and experimental vibe, almost like it's pushing its own limits, if that makes any sense at all. Next up, let's talk about The Blight. This is a track I really love. It's a lot like Nemesis's track too, in the sense that it's incredibly epic and operatic almost. I like this a lot too, to kind of reinforce the Blight as this highly powerful character in the context of Dead by Daylight. I do think it's fairly basic at its core, but I find it works really well, and can actually make you pretty stressed out. It also manages to create this nice tone of mystery, which reinforces Blight as this experimenter basically. I've always thought this one was great, and remember first hearing it back on the PTB for Blight, and just feeling genuinely on edge as I was chased by him. The Clown's chase music is going to round off this tier. This music is honestly really cool and has a very different vibe to many of the other tracks. It's very clown fitting, sounding whimsical, but also with these creepy undertones. I think it's great for Clown, and I basically have no issues or no changes I'd like to see happen with it. I just think it's great. You have the disorienting circling note sound, and then the drumming to pair with it. Yeah, very fitting and just a cool and creepy sound that fits well for Clown's character when in chase. Finally, let's move on to the amazing unique music tier. To start this off, we have the Shape and his chase music, which includes parts or notes from the Halloween theme. This one I may be a bit biased toward, but I just love how it combines the Halloween theme with Dead by Daylight setting and tone. You have the key stabby notes of the Halloween theme, but with these harsher beats that seem more fitting to Dead by Daylight 2. Perfect for his character, and really cool that we got some fitting music to pair with his appearance. Generally just an awesome chase theme. When you get chased by Myers with this theme, it's just so stressful. The Demogorgon is up next, and in a similar fashion is kinda here because of the great combination between the Stranger Things theme and Dead by Daylight's environment or context. I love this one. It sounds so spooky and mysterious and otherworldly, and so fitting for the demo. It's also a great change of sound entirely from many of the other killers. It's incredibly unique and incredibly fitting. Again, not much to say or add, it's just a great combo of Stranger Things and Dead by Daylight, and fits really well for chases with the Demogorgon. The Cenobite is coming in at the top though, and again, it's because I'm kinda partial to these operatic sounding chase tracks that make the whole chase seem really epic and big. I love the singing that kicks in, especially with this track, with its high note that backs the harder and sharper main part of the track. Then there's the repeated drops it has throughout the track that create this constant tension and repeated just rhythm, I guess. I think the overall composure of this track is also great for Cenobite as this powerful, otherworldly and dangerous character. Similar to the others, I also find it fits in well with the different Cenobite sounds, like the chains flying about and such. Alright, well that's gonna do it. I do hope you enjoyed, and be sure to drop your own thoughts on this down below. Thanks, and goodbye.